Hey everybody, welcome.
Yeah, there
welcome
we
to
go.
the still unnamed show between Don Lemon and Mike Nellis. That if Don will ever respond to my emails, we will finally
and
get him.
Don Lemon shirt. So, look, the thing is that we haven't discussed because I haven't been with you in a while, right? Is
Yeah,
the
it's been a couple
takeover
weeks.
of, American cities, blue cities, by this administration sending the National Guard. When it appears to me, of course, yes, we could all use some crime fighting deduction tools or whatever. But I think it has to be, the folks have to want it. The people who are running the cities should say, yeah, come in and help us out. And if that's not happening, what it appears to me is that Republicans, especially, are putting um, the emphasis on the wrong thing. And it should be where we are today with the school shooting. We should not have a proliferation of guns. People should not get access to guns who should not have access to guns. And maybe if we started there, you wouldn't have to send folks out, National Guard members onto American cities and streets.
I think for me, it drives me nuts. And folks, please hit the like button and comment where you're watching this from to help Don and I push this up the algorithm so other people join us. We'd appreciate trying to get a good audience for this one because we're reacting to, for folks who haven't seen it, there's a school shooting in Minnesota right now at a Catholic school. We don't know.
Including the shooter, 17 injured as we are taping this.
Yes, that's right. As we're taping,
we're live with this. Yeah.
yeah, I think 2 dead. Right? Is that that's what's
3 dead.
3 dead now.
3
Okay,
dead.
and we don't
Associated Press.
we don't know how many of them are kids, but I have to assume some of them are kids. I think what really pisses me off about our government, what pisses me off about our society, is what we consider a crisis and what we don't consider a crisis. And
Yeah.
we've accepted and normalized that school shootings are okay, and they are not fucking okay. They're just not okay.
Yeah.
And
by the way, 8 and 10, 2 children, 8 and 10 were killed.
Yeah, Don, I have a 6-year-old boy, Don. I don't even know. Like I'm feeling every emotion right now. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. Like, I have a 6-year-old kid, and I was telling my assistant Nora before I came down here to shoot this, because she's hanging out on our porch right now, is one of the worst days of my life as a parent was the day that my son had to do his active shooter drilling. Because he came home and asked me a bunch of not annoying questions, but a bunch of questions that were hard to answer because I didn't know how to explain to him. And I think about the trauma that we're bestowing upon our kids by not dealing with this crisis. I think how we're failing the kids that have died in this crisis. I think how we're failing their parents and their families and their community. And you opened this conversation by talking about the takeover in DC and Trump's threats to invade Chicago, basically invade Detroit, and put, tanks on a street corner when I take my kid to school. And that's not okay either. And it's a scary time. It's a scary time in this country, and I'm most scared for my son. I'm most scared for our kids. And I want the government to take these crises seriously. And if that means it means doing a lot of different stuff. It means passing legislation to keep guns out of the hands of people who are going to use it to harm other people, particularly kids. It means strengthening and securing our schools so that these shooters can't get in and making it harder for them so our kids are safe. And stop accepting that this is a norm, because it's not okay that this happens. And I know that whatever Donald Trump's response to this will be, he'll release some bullshit statement because he doesn't care. Congress isn't going to act. They're on recess still. They're on vacation because they don't want to talk about the Epstein cover-up, because that's why they went on recess in the first place. So that sinking feeling in my chest of worrying that this eventually comes for you and for your family, like, never leaves me. And I'm like heartbroken. I don't even.
This is really affecting you.
Yeah. Well, I have a little boy, and my son's at school right now. And you hope it never comes for your family. And I don't want to make it about me, because there are people now who are grieving their kids. Those people might not even know if their kids are hurt. There's probably parents who are trying to get access to know whether or not their kids are hurt right now, and they're freaking out because they can't get the access that they need. And like, it could be me, it could be the school that I'm on the council of down the street. And nobody in this country seems to care enough to take immediate action on it. And that's upsetting.
No, I understand what you're saying. It's not about you, but it's about people like you. It's about people who have children, right?
Yeah.
Um, I look, I'm kind of at a loss for words too because I think about Newtown. People always ask me what story has stuck with you the most out of every story you covered, and I've covered some really horrific stories. And I'd have to say it's got to be Newtown. And then, just selfishly, this is the honest truth. When I was there, I could not drive to the train station fast enough after it was over because was in such deep depression and despair about the country. And watching one of the last things I saw when I was there was the last live shot I did. I was standing next to the memorial. Remember, they had that big memorial with the candles and flowers and
Yeah.
whatever in the center of town. And I was doing a live shot from there. And as I was doing the live, I looked over and I saw a hearse going by with a mom with her head on the thing. And then you could see like the dad with his head on her, and they were like, their hands were kind of up. You could see their hands and they were holding hands. And then in the back, this little tiny casket. And I was like, and when I finished the thing, they're like, okay, Don, hey, guess what? Thank you for doing the live shot, and you're cleared to come home. I was like, okay. The train station was 45 minutes away, and the GPS is like 60 minutes because of traffic. I drove on the shoulder of the road because I was like, I've got to get on this train. I've got to get out of here. I've got to get out of here. I've got to get out of here. And all I could think of was that I could get out of there, but they couldn't. That they
Yeah.
were going to be living with that for the rest of their lives. And I can't imagine that hell. And they're probably still living that hell right now because it never leaves you. But I got to leave. I mean, it just I'm on the verge of tears now. But again, it's not about me. I'm just saying it affects all of us.
Yeah.
And we're not doing anything about it. It was like we're trying to pretend we're strong, and let's send out the troops and let's get rid of the criminals, and we're going to put them in jail when we have a president who's a criminal and who's going about it the wrong way. Perhaps he should be sitting there saying, we need some sensible gun legislation so we could stop acts like this. All of the violence and the crime, it's all tied into one thing, right? And we're all Americans. And if you need some help, I will reach out to you. All you got to do is call me, and then we can work on this crime thing together rather than being a bully and a dictator and an autocrat and trying to push his beliefs onto other people.
Well, I think there's two thoughts I want to add to that. There's grief and then there's trauma. And grief never leaves you. Like when you lose a parent, or like my wife and I have had, a series of miscarriages trying to have our second son, and like that grief doesn't leave you. But to me, is like I would categorize that as normal grief, right? Like
Right.
something goes wrong, you lose a loved one, you lose a friend, you have a miscarriage. Like that's normal grief. Doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt. It hurts like fucking hell. But then there's trauma where something that could have been avoided happens, particularly to kids, and it upends the entirety of their lives. Their lives will never be the same. Like if there's two little kids, our babies, that are murdered right now, eventually the kids in that class are going to have to go back in that classroom and try to learn, and they're never going to feel safe in a classroom again after this. And that will impact the rest of their lives, will impact their families. Like nobody should have to bury a kid. That's why I'm emotional. I mean, let's be honest about that. Like I'm emotional because I'm imagining it happening to my son. And I don't think that's I don't think that's selfish. I think that's just basic human empathy and decency. Like I'm able to put myself in somebody else's shoes and know that there are parents who are going through that right now, and it sucks. And you know, we're having this ongoing conversation about crime, and it's politicized, and they don't care about this. But Donald Trump's the one who's been gutting community policing throughout the country. And community policing helps keep our communities safe, helps us build a relationship with law enforcement, helps us keep our schools safe. And maybe instead of spending all of this time and money and energy manufacturing crises in Washington, D.C., or manufacturing a crisis in Chicago where the murder rate is down significantly and the crime rate is down significantly, we could be putting that effort towards making sure that every school has resource officers who are properly trained to keep our kids safe, making sure that they have the tools that they need to weed out the guns. I mean, look, America has, and I'm a gun owner. I say this as a gun owner. I don't want to take away individual people's rights. If you're a regular person that needs a firearm, feels like you want one for personal protection, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't want to impede your right to do that. But we got to make sure that our kids are safe. So maybe we need to start investing some money in making sure that our schools are actually safe. And then on top of that, passing legislation to keep guns out of the hands of bad people. But I just there's no appetite to talk about this. Like it's been normalized in Washington that this is okay. and not enough people care about it to make it a voting issue. And frankly, like, Democrats, when they were in power last time, didn't do enough. They did a lot of things that Joe Biden did, a lot of which has been rolled back by Donald Trump in the first couple of weeks of his term. Like the Gun Violence Prevention Council that he put together has been disbanded because God forbid there be a body of work in the United States government, a group of people who are trying to solve gun violence in this country, because the NRA might get pissed. But I don't know. I'll hand it back to you, Don. I'm at a loss.
I'm
Going by
looking at the
emotion.
details of what's coming through, and I'm watching the live information come over from the Associated Press. Again, make sure you smash the screen, hit the hearts and the likes, just so people become aware of this conversation. We think it's a very important conversation that we're having
Please.
here. Um, and so I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. Obviously, one of the people dead is the shooter, right? So it's two kids so far, and at least 17
Evil.
others. Yeah.
Fucking evil.
Yeah, it's just evil. It's evil, but in many ways, and don't take this the wrong way, it is our own fault that things like this continue to happen
Yeah.
because we have to be stronger as a country in some sort of sensible gun legislation. Yes, people have mental health issues, but people have mental health issues in countries all over the world, and they don't have the gun violence that we do. The only difference is that there are more guns in America than there are people in America. And I think a number of times over, there are more guns in America than there are people. And so, unless we get the NRA out of it, unless people come to a realization that thoughts and prayers aren't going to change it, and realize that Democrats have never taken your guns and they don't want to take your guns, and that's not going to happen. And stop letting the extremes and the people who really don't believe in the Constitution have the say in this. We're destined to continue this over and over and over. And here's the sad thing. Here's the sad thing. And you know it's true, Mike. I hate to say it. Tomorrow, this might be an update at the end of a news block. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it'll be gone. It'll be gone. It's gone.
The news cycle
Yep.
moves so fast, and people have become so inured to this. Like, okay, it's another school shooting, and then they just keep going on and keep moving. I'm just saying. So, in many ways, it's our own fault. What do we do? I think we have to. I think we have to fight fire with fire, and I
Yeah.
don't know exactly what that means.
Well,
Don't know
there,
what that means.
there clearly there needs to be a new way to wage this battle to solve this problem because what we've done. I mean, Newtown was a decade ago. It was 2013, right? I think, and
2013, 2012. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so it's 12 years ago. So it's how long ago it is. I mean, that feels insane to say out loud how long ago it was. I mean,
2012,
there
December 14th of
2012.
2012.
It was right after the election. Wow. Okay. So there's got to be a new way to approach this where let me actually just I want to tell you who I blame for this because I actually think it's important to figure out what the future looks like. Like obviously it's easy to sit here and go, the Republicans have blocked and fought every effort at gun control in this country for the last 12 years, which is absolutely true. Absolutely true. And unconscionable. And, obviously the NRA has NRA and other gun rights groups have staked out this claim that like if you infringe at all on the First Amendment, even on common sense, they're going to take you fight on it. Donald Trump packs the Supreme Court, makes it impossible for states to even regulate on firearms to try to do it. And then, if you're in Illinois, like I think something like 50% of all gun crimes in Illinois happen because of guns that are purchased in Indiana, which is wild.
Right.
So like if you live, the same thing is just true in California. California has stricter gun laws, Nevada doesn't. And then Republicans blame California and they go, gun laws don't work. And be like, well, no, they're just getting them from another state. So they would work if they were applied equally everywhere.
Right.
But I'll also say that like this highlights one of the things that I think drives me to continue to talk and speak out and do my Substack is we need a new version of the Democratic Party that's being built right now, the one that I believe will win in 26, the one that will win in 28 and get us back into power and start to undo this fucking mess that we're in, to understand how it can use power in the same way that Republicans are using it right now to destroy and to steal from people. We can use it to help solve these problems because there's a lot of power that's been given now. And it seems like the walls are made out of paper. We should be willing to use that in order to stop our kids from getting killed in their schools. without having to traumatize our kids and make them not feel safe in their classrooms. And I think that's achievable. And we should be trying to do that. And I think then the next step on top of it, the yes, and I'll add to it, is we can do that without demonizing gun owners, because I don't believe that people who own firearms are bad people. Even people who might own firearms that I don't agree with. My best friend in the world right now is somebody who owns a ton of firearms. He's a collector. He enjoys doing it. He has an AK, whatever. I don't know anything about that world, but like, I don't think he's a bad guy because of it. But I think if we can sit down with people and try, make an earnest attempt to explain to them what we're trying to accomplish without taking away their guns, without infringing on their rights, with getting past this extremism on this. Maybe that's naive of me. Like, I want a Democratic Party that pushes through to solve this shit, but I want to do it without demonizing gun owners, because I don't think that that's worked either. And I'm not saying that people who are watching this have done that. I'm reacting in real time to what's happening, but I want this to stop. This has got to stop.
Well, yeah, look, you can't blame all gun owners, and I was a gun
No.
owner at one point, but I was a gun owner at one point to prove a point during the Aurora shooting when I was in Colorado. One of the stories that I did was well, I wanted to do, and they wouldn't let me do it, and then later they allowed someone else to do it. But I went and bought a gun in Colorado, and it took me less than 30 minutes to buy an
Mm.
AR-15, and I had that AR-15 for a while, and it was interesting what I had to do in order to travel. I had to put it in a case and then check it in at the airport and make them aware and make sure there was no ammo in it, blah, 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 blah. I never fired the
Yeah.
gun anyways. It was the only time that I was a gun owner. But I do believe in the Second Amendment. I come from Louisiana. And,
Yeah.
people hunt and fish, and it's the fisherman's capital, the hunter's capital, whatever, huntsman capital of America. And so I understand that. But we're not talking about guns that people use for sport, right? We're talking about guns that people use for sport against other people. And so I understand when you said this isn't about the gun owners. Most responsible gun owners don't do this, but there's still a lot of guns that are out there. And I think most responsible gun owners, I really do believe that they are okay with some sensible gun legislation.
Yeah. I mean, if you
They
poll people, they're
understand.
overwhelmingly okay with it. It's a far
Yeah.
extreme and special interests that are determining the gun policy in this country.
Support comes from Brickhouse Nutrition and their best-selling weight loss formula, Lean. And right now, you don't want to miss this. Brickhouse's Labor Day sale just went live. For a few days only, you can save 25% on everything with code LABORDAY25. Look, fall is a perfect time to reset, get focused, and start feeling your best. And this sale is the best time to stock up. This includes Lean, the doctor-formulated weight loss supplement that helps turn excess fat into energy, reduces appetite, and curbs cravings without needles and without prescriptions. So, I'm a big believer in Brickhouse because I use their products. I will start with a Field Greens, which is my go-to fruit and veggie blend. And I can tell you my energy is better and I feel healthier. And your doctor will notice the difference, okay? That's real. And if you want more, favorites like Radiance and Collagen Booster and the new Brickhouse Whey Protein also are included in this. Everything is 25% off, but only for a few days. So don't wait. Head over to brickhousenutrition.com. Use the code LABORDAY25 at checkout. That's brickhousenutrition.com, code LABORDAY25. Take advantage of this Labor Day sale and start fall feeling your strongest and most confident yet. Support comes from Delete Me. It's the easiest, fastest way to protect your privacy online. Look, in 2025, your data is a commodity. Anyone can buy it. Your name, your home address, your phone number, even your family details, compiled and sold to the highest bidder. That's how identity theft, scams, and harassment happen. Now, I know this world all too well. Being in the public eye means that my personal information is always at risk. Anyone in the public eye, always at risk. I've had people try to dig up information on me. And let me tell you, it is scary how much your life that can be found with just one search. So don't take any chances. Use Delete Me, okay? They'll scrub your data from the web so you stay safe. It is quick, it's easy, and right now you can try it at a discount. Get 20% off your Delete Me plan by texting DON to 64000. That's the only way to get this deal. Text DON, D-O-N, to 64000. Protect your privacy today with Delete Me. Message and data rates may apply.
Court, like, let's not forget, Donald Trump has stacked the Supreme Court with his picks so that he can get whatever he wants, because the Heritage Foundation and the rest of the conservative movement doesn't want to create progress in this country. They want to roll things back to this mythological version of the 60s that never existed in the first place. And now it's standing in the way of our ability to make progress on freaking anything. And I think guns is one of those things. And then we're so mired down in algorithmic partisan nonsense on it that we can't have basic common sense. And the other thing too is, like, I don't want this to get lost, because I think we end up in this position where Democrats scream about guns, and they're right to scream about guns and dark money in politics, as who's this Lita just said. I think it's a good comment too. But we scream about guns, and we scream about dark money, and we scream about the NRA, and we're not wrong. And on the other side, the Republicans go about mental health care, and they're also right about mental health care. We should be taking action on it. Now, the Republicans are completely insincere on mental health care, because
Totally.
what have they done on it? They haven't done anything in 12 years on mental health care. They
It's
haven't
a
done
ruse. They're
anything.
using it to block gun legislation.
Right, they use it to block gun legislation. But the truth is, it's a yes and. Like, we should be taking action on mental health care. We should be taking action to limit people's ability to buy a gun if they're going to do dangerous things, or they're going to hurt themselves, they're going to hurt somebody else, or if they have a felony conviction, for example. And then we should also be working to secure our schools. And again, it's like, have that conversation about, do we need more school resource officers? Do we need metal detectors in schools? I know that that conversation sucks, but like, we should have the tough conversation, and we should look at it as a multifaceted, multi-pronged conversation of, how do we keep our schools safe? How do we reduce gun violence? And that conversation is going to be education-based. It's going to be economic-based. It's going to be mental health care. It's going to be safety and security in our schools. And instead, Donald Trump wants to, like, invade our cities over perceived crime problems that, don't exist. Crime's an issue in Chicago, but local leaders are handling it. And that's the responsibility of local leaders. But we can't get anybody to talk about that in Washington, because we got to deal with it this way. Take it, Don. Sorry.
That's how I started this line. That's what
Yeah.
you're articulating it better than I did. But you know what pisses me off? It pisses me off that, again, like we said, this is going to end up. I'm going to wait to see when this leaves the headlines. I'm going to monitor it to see when it starts to move down, because now it's the big stuff.
It'll be gone by tomorrow. It'll be gone midday tomorrow.
Okay. So look, I'm just looking at it. So I'm just the Associated Press. They're doing a live thing. 7 minutes ago, it says, I don't know where he is, or whatever. And that's a parent, like, concerned or whatever. And then it's like, in photos, community members react after the shooting. It's just really hard for me to take it in. They're going, and it's like, covering the 50-yard line. They're on the 50, they're on the 40. Trump has spoken to walls, the White House says. The shooting comes 2 months after a top Democrat in the state house was killed. Children and families hug outside an Annunciation Catholic school. At least nine children are being treated at a trauma hospital. It just breaks my heart, because you could say this about almost every single shooting that happens. And then people are going to say, they're going to do and talk about what we said. And then the conservatives or the Republicans or the MAGAs or whatever you want to call them, the NRA people, are going to go, it's inappropriate to do now. Thoughts and prayers. People are grieving. Why are we talking politics? And then by the time you get around to wanting to talk to politics, they're on to something else, and people don't care anymore.
Yep. And by the way, they have no problem playing politics with literally anything, because Jesse Waters last night was screaming at me about murders in Chicago.
Yeah, what
He
happened?
actually doesn't give a shit.
That's related to this.
I mean, for those who've seen it, I went on Jesse Waters last night. He invited me on.
Hang on. But you were talking about addressing the root causes of things, and
Yes.
look at what happened today. So, but go on. Sorry to cut you off.
So no, but like, I mean, you brought up Louisiana. This is actually a perfect segue into that. Is like, I was on Waters, and he asked me if I thought that Donald Trump should send the military to Chicago. He played a manipulative clip of a woman who had lost family members to violence in Chicago, which is horrible, and I feel awful for her and her family. I don't want Donald Trump in my city. And the point that I made to him was, if local leaders need or want the National Guard to come in and help them with crises, that's the prerogative of local leaders to call and ask for help, is the prerogative of governors. And J.B. Pritzker hasn't asked for help. Brendan Johnson hasn't asked for help. And I'm not a huge Brendan Johnson fan either. I'm a huge critic of his. I don't think he's a very good mayor. But I reminded him that, and this is where he started screaming at me at the top of his lungs, folks. You can watch the clip. I mean, I had another, Don, I won't say who it is. I'll tell you in a text afterwards, but like, another person that you and I know who texted me was like, I've never seen him yell like that on live TV. But I said, the people of Chicago have had a chance to vote for Donald Trump 3 times, and they've rejected him by 80% every single time he's been on the ballot. We don't want him.
Why don't you stand by, Mike? I'm going to play it. Okay.
Oh, you're going to play it?
I'm going to play it. Yeah, I'm going to play it.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Chicago's had a chance to vote for Donald Trump 3 times, and he lost by 80% each of the 3 times that he was on the ballot. I think if Donald Trump wants to get involved heavily in issues somewhere else, he should go look at red states, because Donald Trump doesn't have any urgency to deal with Louisiana, which is the murder capital of the United States. He doesn't have anything to say about Oklahoma, which has the worst schools in the nation. Doesn't have anything to say about Arkansas,
Mike,
which has the highest teen pregnancy
those
rate.
are crime-ridden too. Those are crime-ridden too. And if the mayor
when's
wants
Donald
to
Trump going to
invite
do
Donald
something
Trump
about the
to
crime
go in
rate
there
that's
and do
happening
it,
in Republic?
Chicago's a little bigger than Baton Rouge, Mike. Okay, and you live in Chicago, and you should care. Did you hear my friend out there in the monologue talking about her cousin, her uncle, her niece? They're all dead, Mike. Do you care about that at all? Your mayor doesn't care. Your mayor doesn't want any backup. They're offering him more cops, more guard, and he says, no, more housing. What the hell's wrong with him?
Hey, listen, I care about the crime that happens in Chicago, but I also care about making sure that people feel safe. And I know that I'm not going to feel safe in my city if when I take my son to school, I have to drive by a tank. I know I'm not going to feel safe if when I take him to a ball game, I'm going to see armed military members.
You know what ticks me off about that? You know what ticks me off about that is that I just, as we were talking about that, my mother's here visiting from Baton Rouge. She just went up the stairs and went into her room. And I have family in Baton Rouge. I grew up in Baton Rouge. And I know when I first moved to New York City, my family, entire family, oh my gosh, you live in New York City. We're worried. Be careful. You're going to get shot or whatever. And I said, you guys have a worse homicide rate than we do in New York. And that's what people don't understand. They demonize big cities. Of course, you're going to have issues. Big cities are big. People are on top of each other. You're going to have crime. You're never going to get rid of it. Do we want to end crime or decrease crime? Absolutely. But let's be realistic about where the crime is, what's happening, and what's actually real, what's factual with the actual crime rate.
Well, and let's actually talk about how we can have sustainable solutions to deal with crime in the country, because the other point I made to Jesse was Donald Trump cut billions of dollars in community policing. There's fewer cops on the streets all across America because of the Republican budget that he signed. And so Donald Trump didn't care about it then. Sending in the military for 30 days to Chicago will probably decrease the crime rate for exactly 30 days. And the minute that they leave after the stunt is over, it's going to be a situation where the local police aren't able to govern and make the decisions that they need to because they don't have the resources that they need. So this is what pisses me off, is we're not actually solving the real problems. And the point that I was trying to make to Jesse was, we don't need Donald Trump's help to deal with the crime issue in Chicago. We're working on it right now and making progress, and we need to keep making progress on it. Maybe Donald Trump should go spend more time in places who voted for him, where he should be trying to fucking solve their problems, because everything's too expensive for millions of Americans. Our kids are not safe in schools. And I made this point in that clip you just played. Oklahoma has the worst schools in the nation, and that's not considered an emergency by the people in Oklahoma or the people in Washington who voted to send Donald Trump there. And we're not solving any real problem, and instead we're bickering and arguing with one another. And even this is kind of bickering and arguing with one another. And I'm tired of it. I want to solve some real fucking problems.
Yeah. But they don't
falling
want
apart,
to.
Don.
Huh?
This country's fucking falling apart.
But America is great right now.
We're the hottest we've ever been, according to Donald J. Trump, a man who has never lied about anything ever.
To be continued, sir.
Yeah. I appreciate you, Don. Thank you for the space to be emotional and angry for 30 minutes. I appreciate it.
But I think we should be emotional and angry. And I think especially now, everyone deserves to be emotional and angry over what happened in Minneapolis. And we'll keep an eye on that. And I hope it does not get worse. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Appreciate you.
Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.